Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's Adaptive Fitness Roundtable. We will be discussing what adaptive fitness is, what it isn't, and why it's important to an individual's health. Our panel will discuss a range of topics regarding adaptive fitness, provide their experiences and expertise that will give a full picture of why our partnership with Kakana is an opportunity for all Christopher and Dana Reeve community members. I am going to now turn it over to Matt Ney, the founder of Kakana. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Kaylee, how are you? I want to thank everybody for coming. First off, this is an exciting time, I think, for adaptive fitness. I think it's a chance for everyone to really expand on what is offered, and we can talk about what it actually is today. We can get into some detail and also just kind of learn from some highly reputable and experienced folks. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce them, and we'll get started. So first we have Jessie Strachan. Jessie is the founder of Wheel With Me, the founder of Wheel With Me Fit. She is also a Kakana instructor, I'd like to point out, and an overall amazing and experienced person when it comes to fitness and nutrition. Second, we have Garrison Red, who's the founder of the Garrison Red Project, and he is a member of Team USA Para Powerlifting and also an original Kakana instructor. Following him is Chuck Aoki, and Chuck is the captain of the Team USA rugby team, who came in as silver medalist in this past Paralympics. We can ask him questions about that later on in the day. And then TJ Griffin is a Reeve executive staff member. He's the National Peer Mentor Coordinator at Reeve and handles all the peer-to-peer mentoring. All right, so let's get started. And let's start off with an easy one. Jessie, I'm gonna just jump to you right off the bat. When we say adaptive fitness, what does that mean to you? What do you think of when we talk adaptive fitness?
When it comes to adaptive fitness, it's fitness for everybody. That doesn't only mean wheelchair users, injuries. That's anyone out there. We're making fitness accessible and available.
Chuck, you want to add on to that?
Yeah, for sure. I think Jessie put it really well. The idea of adaptive fitness in my mind is, fitness is for everybody. We all have a different fitness journey, and it's all going to take us different steps to get to a point where we're comfortable with fitness. But I think it's really important, especially in today's day and age, to find that way to get fit. We obviously saw with the pandemic, it's really been challenging to do so, but adaptive fitness is so critical. It's important to find avenues, and that's why I'm so excited to be here today to talk about the different paths to it and to work with a group like Kakana.
Garrison, you want to give us your kind of definition, your thought of adaptive fitness?
Yeah, similar to what Chuck and Jessie said. It's basically a modified way of completing a regular workout routine. So it's that simple in essence, just making one modification or a few modifications. It's getting people to work out.
So TJ, I'm gonna break from there and go to the next question in terms of why. And I think you are the perfect person to start with this because of your experience in peer-to-peer mentoring, right?
Yeah.
Not the idea of fitness, but the specificity of adaptive fitness. What makes adaptive fitness so important?
Well, I think first off, I think fitness is important for anybody, whether you're able-bodied or, or you have disability, and it's even more important for the disability. And unfortunately, a lot of, especially high-level quads think, okay, well, I don't even have the fingers to do lifting and stuff. And you don't realize that just any kind of movement and stuff can help you, from sitting in your chair to doing punches to, doing a quick hit, high intensity punching for 30 seconds off, things like that can make an impact for you. And it's even more important because I feel like it's more important because of our health. Obviously, our oxygen levels are low, and then you throw in right now with COVID, it's even more important to be better in healthy lungs and health, so getting a fitness routine, whether it's, if you're able to do it from home or if you're able to be lucky enough to go watch it through Kakana and be able to see somebody maybe giving you a little bit of motivation and some instruction on how to do things can help you. But also let's be honest. This time is tough right now. You have COVID, then you throw in a disability, you throw some other stuff on there. Emotionally, you can have a hard time, and fitness is probably the best thing you can do to kind of raise those endorphins and get you out of that rut or get you out of the emotional. So it's not just a physical thing that's always going to help you, but it's going to help you emotionally, if not more than physically sometimes.
Garrison, you want to add? You're muted, Garrison.
Yeah, I totally agree with what TJ just said. It's very important for individuals with disabilities to be active, and most of all for individuals with spinal cord injuries to be active. I could speak for my case. Once I started, becoming physically active, this is way before powerlifting. I noticed that my health started to improve as far as less UTIs, less spasticity. These are some of the things that, result from our injuries that people typically do not see or do not hear about, but they are very, very, it's very important that I keep those as low as possible, the least amount of infections and stuff like that.
And to add to that, for individuals that acquire their disability later in life, and even that have lived with it their entire life, that confidence level, I found that the more that you work on yourself from the inside out, the more confident you become as not only just a wheelchair user, a person with a disability, but just as a human being. And the more that you can spread that confidence to others and help uplift them as well.
Chuck, I'm going to go to you with your fitness to start off, giving people an idea of each of your fitness routines. Now, with yours, I'm going to start with you as you've taken your time off now from the Paralympics. What would be your starting point to ease back into training? Because I don't want to talk about your training during like the last 4 months. So what is your starting point to get back in, right? Because I think that's a good starting point for everybody else, or at least in the general sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I would start with when I think about, like you said, kind of restarting my fitness routine is I think it's important to note that I have to kind of convince myself to go back to the gym sometimes. I think that we often think of, I'm a Paralympian, I've been very successful in my career, but sometimes there's mental obstacles for me to want to go to the gym. I don't always want to go when there's, 3 inches of snow outside. I don't want to go when I feel tired. And so I think it's important to note that, those are real mental obstacles that we always face to go to the gym, and myself included as a high level athlete. And so I want to kind of just begin by acknowledging that's a very valid thing to feel when you're sort of beginning a fitness journey, whether you're coming back from, being a high level competitor, coming back in, or you're just getting started for the first time. It's perfectly real and valid to feel that kind of nervousness and fear with it. And so on a more technical level, I really begin by sort of just getting back in and moving all the different muscle groups that I use as a wheelchair rugby athlete, which of course is primarily upper body as a wheelchair user, but a little bit of some core work as well. And I also spend lots of time sort of just building up my cardiovascular base, which is anything from pushing my wheelchair rugby chair, which if you're familiar with those weigh about 45 pounds. They're a lot heavier chairs, doing work on that. And then all sorts of other adapted cardio type equipment like PPE machines, hand cycles, things like that. Really just kind of anything to get my body moving, to get myself back in the habit of working out. Like I said, especially after I've taken a break. For me, I kind of need to just get moving before I can really dial in and try to focus on any specific periodization or gains, as they call it.
TJ, we've had discussions about this when it comes to routines and your specific fitness kind of routine as well, and how that relates kind of in the work-life balance of things. You want to kind of speak to how you kind of tried to balance that out and build your routine inside of a high pressure and a lot of time taking job.
Yeah, it's so, and I've gotten back into it. In fact, Matt, I feel bad. I need to really utilize more of the aspects that Kakana has, because it really would have helped me at the beginning of this month. You had the holidays, you had everything, and I work, I'm pretty much, like we all know, our morning routine's a little bit longer than the average person. So you have to get up a little earlier than you work regular, 9 to 5 job. it adds to it. So it's after work, then I really need to do the work, or occasionally I can do it during lunch sometimes. But I took off for a while. I'll be honest, like you were talking about, Chuck, it's hard to get back in the routine. And so in January, I was like, okay, let's do this. So I went, healthy, dry January even. But I started working out more, and it was more of just trying to make it a routine, I had to like set a time, like, okay, if I just say, okay, I need to work out sometime today, it's not going to work. So I really tried this year, say, okay, so this day I'm going to do at least my 30 minutes during lunch, I'll do a little cardio, but then I'll do an hour, try to 3 times a week after work, whether it be right after work, I was going to do it at 5:30 or at 5. But I knew that was my time. I had to do it. If you don't schedule it, I think it's really hard. Honestly, sometimes, and even if it's just 3 times a week, that's great, or 2 times a week, but schedule it. Because if you think, all right, I got to do it sometime this week, I'll get around to it, you're never going to do it. Things come up instead of just marking it down on your calendar, knowing you can do it.
Yeah, for sure. So talking about schedules there, the perfect segue to Jesse and Garrison. I want you guys to give us your weekly schedule breakdown. Jesse, I know we've had, infinite amount of conversations on what you do and falling out of schedule, falling in schedule. And I know you just got back into one. So Jesse, give everybody your kind of quick version, but weekly schedule on what types of workouts you do and when, and I always work better with examples. And so now we'll have 2 people with examples. We had 2 good kind of overall theories. Now let's see what specifics we can get into.
I want to say TJ made a really good point about scheduling. And if I don't put it, I have a paper planner and a calendar in my phone. And if I don't put it in both, and I will not stick to it. So like this morning I had gym 6 a.m. on the schedule because my day has been pretty packed. So I woke up at 5, got out of bed, straight to the gym, had my workout done by 8. So typically 4 to 5 times a week, I do a CrossFit workout. And then the other 3 days, I do either like leg braces or core mobility. Mobility is probably one of the most important things we can do. And it's a huge exercise. I can't stress it enough. Whether that's just functional mobility of shoulder movements. We have so many muscles in our shoulders that we have to keep strong, which is something that able-bodied people never think about. So anything to keep your shoulders strong and loose and able to continue, I try to do that daily. So part of my routine is when I get out of bed, I do 10 minutes of functional mobility and just stretching and getting my shoulders ready for the day. So take that time and set that time aside for what's important to your longevity of your independence. It's not so much about, oh, I've got to be fit, I've got to be skinny. It's how long can I be as independent as possible without having to ask for help? I run 2 businesses and a nonprofit. So my schedule, like I said, during the day, it's really stacked. Wednesdays, I am a Kakana instructor. We do functional mobility and AX training, which is like a cross training of just constant intensity. They range from 20 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on how the class is looking. I just try to gauge it. And then peer support, honestly, keeping you motivated, that's your best friend. With Wheel With Me Fit, we have 2 weekly meetings where we just talk about our struggles through the week, and we give each other tools to move through those struggles. And then every Friday we have a group workout. And honestly, that's what keeps me sticking to getting daily movement, is that peer support.
Garrison, give us your weekly schedule. What do you do from Monday to Sunday?
Nice. Well, I'm a very busy person from Monday through Sunday, but as in regards to fitness, I train 5 days out of the week. 3 days I train specific to my sport, powerlifting, where I train with my trainer and we use the conjugate method of building strength. So my typically 4 weeks I'm doing hypertrophy, which is a high intensity, high volume workouts. And then the subsequent weeks I begin to my strength building phase, which is lower volume, but still a lot heavier weights and things of that nature. And then I have a cool down period, but I have to be at the gym each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9:15. So that's scheduled. That's no matter what, I know each and every day, rain, sleet, snow, hail, I have to be at the gym Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, guaranteed. Now, the other 2 days, I typically do something just to stay active. So whether it is pushing my push rim wheelchair or riding on my hand cycle or going to the park and doing calisthenics and things of that nature, that's, I try to incorporate that for 2 days, but that's not entered in my schedule. That's something I just know I have to do because the other days I do plan accordingly because I run a non-for-profit and I'm an author. I do a lot of speaking engagements and things of that nature. So I stay really busy. But one of the things like Jessie emphasized on is her planner. So I wake up every morning, I take a look at my calendar, see what task I have. And another thing with me, no 2 days are the same either. So one day I could be doing, after powerlifting, I could be going 30 miles across town to do a talk. And then some days I'll, go home and recover. And that's another big thing with exercise is recovery. So everybody thinks exercise, but never recover. So I try to, emphasize that and promote recovery when speaking to other individuals, especially paras, because a lot of times they see my workouts and think that I was automatically able to do them. And that's not the case. It took me a while to build up the strength, to build up the endurance to get to the point where I'm able to lift 300 pounds or whatever the case may be. So it takes a while.
Yeah, it does. It's not just, you don't just go to the end product. Chuck, how you found your way specifically for you to wheelchair rugby. Jessie kind of has flocked to CrossFit. Garrison para powerlifting, but that doesn't mean that's how he only works out. The question kind of to everybody is, how do you find your way to something that piques your interest? And once you do find it, right, is that the sole thing you should be doing? Or is it, I so often hear, hey, I want to just do this, right? When we get inquiries on Kakana, hey, I liked your kettlebell class. We want to do kettlebell. I'm like, okay, no problem. It's these days. However, you want to do X also, right? So I think speak to the idea of how you can find something that really interests you and how that can spark kind of your overall fitness journey and really help your lifestyle out in that process.
I can answer that question. Well, start.
Go for it.
Well, actually, I didn't get into powerlifting because that's a sport I wanted to get into. I actually was wheelchair racing, and then my coach happened to suggest maybe you might want to compete in this powerlifting meet this weekend, and that's how I got into powerlifting. But one of the things when I was training with the New Jersey Navigators, which was my wheelchair track club, one of the things that I've learned is to do every sport. Do everything, try everything, because you don't know what you're good at. Sometimes you might excel in a sport that, typically you would never thought about playing. So that's one of the things I do encourage everyone to do is to try every sport, no matter what it is, because you might find something in that sport, or you might just be great in that sport and not even know it. So that's one of the things that I like to emphasize.
Yeah. Chuck?
Yeah. I could not agree with Garrison more on that. I was lucky. I've been disabled since I was a kid. And I was lucky that my parents got me involved in adaptive sports, kind of broadly speaking, at a very young age. I think I first did swimming when I was like 6 years old. And so I've been doing, adaptive fitness of some kind for pretty much my entire life. And that what Garrison said is right on point. I did everything. I did swimming, I did basketball, I did track and field. I hated track, just for the record. Never wanted to do that again. But I did skiing, tried sailing, I tried everything. And of course, basketball was my sort of first love, so to speak, and then rugby I've achieved my most success in. But I think that, Matt, to your question, to your point, I think you're absolutely right in that finding that thing that really clicks for you can sometimes be your entry point into, like you said, a more broader fitness journey. It's like you said, you begin with something like, oh, I'm kind of curious about that. Go for it, try that. And that's what sort of opens the door to finding all of these other things, particularly, I think, through the path of essentially finding a community. I think that's the biggest thing for me that adaptive fitness has brought me, aside from, physical, health and such. It's really a community of people who are, going through the same challenges I'm going through, growing up people my age going through, growing up with disability. And I think that's true as adults as well. Adults going through just having a disability, especially, you acquire it later in life. I think that community is really what then enables you to take your fitness from, hey, I was kind of curious about, kettlebells, like you said, to, oh, now I'm going to try, downhill skiing. I never thought I would go downhill skiing, or I never thought I would, I don't know, sail or, track if you're crazy. But, I think all those things exist as an option. That's why it's so important to kind of push yourself to really take that first step, because that's what opens the door that, suddenly there's, an endless set of possibilities out there. Because I think that over my lifetime, I've seen the availability of adaptive fitness options grow substantially. I think they're only continuing to get better and better. But I think today we have a lot of options, including ones you can do right from home. So it's just about a matter of, like you said, finding that thing you're really kind of, oh, I kind of want to try that, and just going for it, allowing that to then lead you into other things.
Yeah. So I'm going to tweak it a little bit for TJ and Jesse here.
Yeah.
You found your spark, right? And I think it's important to pose this question, because what is adaptive fitness? Okay, now you found what it is to you, right? But what does it do for you? I think understanding the evolution of what could it become, and Chuck's point to community, for me, I mean, it's 100% on what in my same thinking, right? That's what we did at Kakana, was the idea to bring community and fitness together. But specifically for TJ, you, and then Jesse, what has it done to your lifestyle in terms of adaptive fitness?
I know for me, and this is recently, because I went through some things, and end of the year I took off too much, and I'm trying to get back into it. I'm eating healthier, and I'm definitely working out more. And this sounds bad, but I'm going to go vanity aspect. I'm like, I've lost 14 pounds since January, or almost 15 pounds since January 1, just because, really working out and really eating healthy. Happens, you also know, eat healthy and dry January will do that for you. So, but the other thing is, it clears your mind. Like, I've gone through some other things just in the last couple of weeks emotionally, and I really was like, okay, and it had nothing to do with the chair. It's just regular life. We all deal with that as well. And it really made a difference for me, just doing, like, when I was having that time, I was like, I did a quick, like, and I'm in the chair at home. Sometimes I can't always get to our gym because, whatever it might be, or if it's too late, I work too late. I can't make it there. So it's an adaptive gym, but unfortunately not open all the time. So what it is you figure out ways to do something, get moving. And then I had to set a legitimate, like, 30 seconds on, 15 seconds off, little hit exercise that I did, just little basic circles in my arms there. And when you were talking about earlier, what do you find that works? I found that I had to combine the ones I liked a lot with the one I hate at the same time. If that makes sense, like, all right, good. I have these 3 that I like, but okay, it's the putting the weights on and doing the damn circles that I hate. So I'm only going to do that. I'm going to do that once, and I'll do the other three times. And so that makes a difference. So it's like, you still want to do it because you got to not ignore that muscle, but at the same time, do something emotionally. Like, if you just sat there and try to do, I just got to do circles this time, you're going to not do it that day. So if you combine it with something you like, that might help.
Yeah, 100%. Jesse?
Definitely having fun with it too. You have to be willing to, like, grow and laugh and learn, and the learning aspect. It's not just a one-way road. And I think that we think a lot of things in life are super linear, and fitness is far from that. I think the biggest thing that you gain from fitness is definitely confidence in yourself, and strength and perseverance. You become more adaptable. Circumstances hit you and you're like, ooh, all right, let me pivot this way. And life becomes easier. So I'm a T4 para, and I function like probably a T10 now. I have significant core strength that I never had. And my balance is improved. And if I don't use it, I literally lose it within a day. Like, if I don't do something for core, it's gone the next day. So I'm like, oh, I should probably stick to this because life is easier for me. So, like, just find yourself something that works, find a community that works with you and for you and gives you the support you need, and then go out and conquer it, because it's going to make life overall so much easier, from your bowel routine, UTIs, the soreness, nerve pain, muscle pain,
Huge.
everything improves. Your whole entire quality of life improves with fitness.
Yeah, and Jesse, I'm going to add on to that too. Is if you're, let's say you watch this and you decide, okay, I'm going to start doing it now. I'm telling you, have your little picture or something before. And I mean, it sounds bad, but vanity can be a reason too. And I mean, it's only been a month, and I'm looking at pictures going, okay, I like what shirts are fitting looser. I like the way, I mean, so it doesn't always have to just, yes, we're going to get a physical and we're going to get an emotional boost, but think of the positives, because that'll keep you going when you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. And they're like, oh, wait, the shirt does fit so much better. I am going to keep doing this. You know what I mean? It does make a difference. And also having something to track it, because if you just keep doing the same thing without looking back or doing something to track your progress, whether it be, your strength, or, man, I am sleeping so much better than I was a week ago, or my bowel program is going from, an hour and 20 minutes to 45 minutes. Why is that? Well, you're probably eating better, you're healthy, and you're exercising. So,
yeah. Yeah, no, I think the lifestyle thing is a big one. So I know I'm going to pose this question to two people who are elite 1% athletes in the world. So, however, I think it's important to start to talk about it, right? Garrison, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Chuck.
Definitely.
Someone starting out, right? Whether it's starting out from scratch and has not exercised at all and wants to kind of start, right? Or someone who's been out for months at a time and then wants to jump back in. Can you talk about kind of small gains? How do you get started, right?
Okay.
What should be the daily must accomplish for your body if you haven't done anything in, let's say, 6 to 8 months or at all ever, right? What do you suggest people to do daily to create a habit is really what you're talking about, right? You've got to create a schedule. You got to create a habit to then make it consistent. So give people some advice on how to get going.
Well, I'm going to give you straight from how I got going.
Okay.
After my injury, I stopped. Growing up, I played football all my life. Once I got injured, I stopped with all physical activity because when I got injured, it was before social media. So you didn't know what other individuals out there in wheelchairs were doing and what they can do or what was your capabilities. So with that said, one day I just got a gym membership because I kept getting UTIs. I didn't like the way I was looking necessarily. Like I was getting skinny. I didn't have too much muscle mass. And then, I got a gym membership to Planet Fitness. It's $10 a month. And the first week, I'm not going to lie to y'all, I didn't work out. I just made it there. That was it. The goal was for me just to make it there every day for the first week. And then in the second week, I started out light, working out for about 15 minutes, doing the arm bike or just light weights, nothing too crazy. As I started seeing results, I started seeing my health improving after about approximately a month. That's when I increased the intensity. I noticed I started going from staying for 15 minutes to staying for 45 minutes. And then before I knew it, there was days I was there at the gym for like an hour and a half. But, that was prior to powerlifting. That just was me wanting to get healthy, wanting to get off of medications and stay away from like antibiotics and things of that nature, which is a result of having a spinal cord injury. So what I encourage individuals out there to do is just by the initial step is just making it there. So just get a membership and just go inside of a gym. If not, due to, some of the parameters that's set in place now, you could go on Amazon and order resistance bands or TheraBands, which you should be familiar with typically if you went to a rehabilitation center for therapy. And you could just start with pull apart, simple, or, simple band pulls, tricep extensions and things of that nature if you have that function. And that would get your body going.
Chuck?
Yeah, I think everything Garrison said was great, especially the part about just get there, like physically just show up there. I think that's a good one. But the way I would phrase it, really myself personally, I think is helpful is really by start off by setting yourself small, realistic, and the words are fading me right now, but setting goals for yourself, first of all, I think is really helpful, even if they're really small goals. I'm going to go for 10 minutes. I'm going to go for 15 minutes, whatever that is. And then on top of that, the second part is, and I think TJ spoke to this really well earlier, is making them sustainable goals though too. Don't say to yourself, oh, I'm going to show up, I'm going to go for an hour and a half, 2 hours, every day. That's not sustainable for most people. It's just not. And that's okay. That's really okay, because if what you, especially when you're getting started, if what you do isn't sustainable, it's how you end up in that cycle of going, and then you don't go for 3 months, going, don't go for 3 months. If what you're doing isn't sustainable, it's not going to work. So I think that's what I really encourage people to do. Mostly, like I said, is find ways of setting, like someone said down there, smart, sustainable goals that you can achieve for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. And then from there, start to say, okay, I've got this good routine down. I know how to do this. I'm getting more comfortable. I can start, looking up videos on YouTube and new things to do. I can reach out to, look at fitness and platforms. I can find all this material out there. There's lots of, free content out there that I think is really helpful. And so I would suggest, like I said, I think that's really how I think is you should need to begin your fitness process. Like you said, whether you're just starting or you're coming back from, really long injuries, like I said, making sure what you're doing is sustainable, because it like I said, it just doesn't do you any good to show up once a week for 2 hours and then, not to go back for 2 weeks. That's not a sustainable thing to do. And I think in terms of really improving one's fitness and one's health, all these great things we've talked about, these benefits, they're gained by doing sustained, repetitive actions. And it's okay if your sustainable is 30 minutes a day, 3 times a day. That's fine. It has to be something you can continue to achieve on a consistent basis, not something you can just do. I wish I could show up to the gym twice a month, work out for 7 hours, and then be done for the rest of the month. That would be awesome. But fitness just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Like Justin said earlier, if you don't use it, you lose it. So you have to find a way to do things sustainable. And I think the other point, and not to keep referencing DJ, he just said a lot of good things earlier, is really making sure you're also doing things that are novel as best you can. Because if you just show up and do the same thing also, you're going to get bored of it. I get bored of doing the same thing over and over again. I don't have much of a choice sometimes. Yeah. But you have to find ways to mix it up, to get creative, and on top of building a sustainable platform, because like I said, you'll get bored and then you'll quit because, well, I just do the same thing 30 minutes a day, every single day. You're going to eventually get bored of that. So finding some type of thing to mix it up with, even if it's a really simple thing, instead of going up and down, I'm going to go side to side with it. It doesn't have to be a crazy, completely different workout, but just finding something else that literally engage your brain differently, because our brains get stuck in these patterns and we just think, oh, it's the same thing over and over and over. And our brains become really comfortable with that. So it's also a fitness benefit.
Yeah.
Sorry,
real quick, I was going to add, Chuck, I agree. The other thing is, I've made the mistake of doing it. I've taken some time off and think I can get right back into what I was doing. And I know better. I was an athlete. I got hurt playing football. Athlete before I knew that. And then I do, but you do that, and then you're so sore the next day, or so you're like, I can't do that, and so you make that mistake. You got to go into it gradually. The other thing is, like, especially for quads, it's harder. You think it's not like I'm at work. I'm in change. I'm gonna have to work out in my jeans. I'm gonna have to, so I got to do something to switch it up. So I'll put music on, or I make sure to have headphones and stuff like that. So I go into I also, if you can't go to a gym, but it's easier. I do have access to a gym, so a lot of times I can go, and that's great because it's like, all right, I'm at the gym. I know what my purpose is. But the thing is if you're not able to go to a gym, that's why it's great with Kakana. They have videos, they have information. You're like, okay, I can turn this on. I know my purpose is to do this. So if you have like a set playlist, or you turn music, so turn your TV off, turn music on, do something that's going to keep you motivated, but know that, it's workout time. It's, if you can't go to the gym, because it's a lot easier when you go, you're like, okay, this is my purpose. So if you don't have access to the gym, you do something to where it makes it feel like this is my purpose. It's not just, oh, here's the weights, I'll just do them. You got to take that mindset of, this is what I'm doing right now. This is even though I can't go anywhere, it's gym time or it's workout time.
Yeah. Jesse, I'm gonna throw the next one to you to start off. And this actually came from a forum question that a participant came out with. And I think it could be the most important question because it's very relevant. What do people in wheelchairs, Jesse, this is for you first, obviously. What do people in wheelchairs need to do differently than others to stay healthy? And then the second part to that question is, are there muscles that need to be focused on for strengthening that maybe an able-bodied person may not have to pay attention to? Or if not, what's your suggestion in that capacity?
I think that the biggest struggle, and this is coming from personal experience, when I first got paralyzed, I gained 30 pounds because I thought, I'm paralyzed. It doesn't matter anymore. My health and fitness no longer matters. I'm using a wheelchair. And I think people with disabilities as a whole, we kind of victimize ourselves and what's happened to us because that's the way society sees us. Why would that wheelchair user want to go work out? Why would they want to go do this? That's crazy. They're incapable. And I think letting go of all that judgment that you hold over yourself and what you think you should be, and just realize you just got to focus on being the healthiest, happiest version of yourself. There's no one that you can compare yourself to that's on that same journey of life that you're on. And so stop playing the comparison game with everybody online and just focus on you. How can you make you the best you? Don't compare. Don't play the judgment game or comparison. When it comes to shoulder muscles, that's really my passion. Focusing on those small muscles in our shoulders. I personally deteriorated my shoulders completely, was getting cortisone shots every 3 months. I did no functional mobility, and I was only 5 years into my injury and could barely transfer myself. And so I was like, something's got to change here. And that's when I started using resistance bands a lot. So I have the circle resistance bands. I put them around my wrist. I do a lot of pull aparts. I do a lot of just resistance bands exercises, really focusing on form and just working those muscles to build them stronger. So just really focus on building the small muscles in your shoulders to make them as strong as possible so they last as long as possible. And then on top of building muscle, you want to be sure you stretch regularly and do some kind of functional mobility. We do functional mobility on Kakana. I know there's a lot of on-demand videos of it. I recommend getting on there and just starting to do that. We do rapid shoulder movements, a lot of stretching, a lot of things to really strengthen those small muscles within our shoulders.
Garrison, what would be your advice to anybody out there that wheelchair, in your experience, right?
Yeah.
What do wheelchair users need to do differently than others to stay healthy, if anything? I mean, look, give us your experience.
Us wheelchair users have to do a lot of things differently just to stay healthy, especially when it comes to fitness. So one of the things, like with me, due to the fact that I lift heavy weights a couple of times out of the week, I try to avoid training my shoulders. So, Jessie trains her shoulders. Me, I'm the opposite. I try to avoid training my shoulders because I try to, I'm trying to preserve them as long as possible. But I do prehab workouts for my shoulders as well. So yeah, the shoulders is like one of the big things because you want to strengthen them, but there's a lot of little fibers in there that you try to avoid not tweaking because of the fact that we have to push our chair all day long. But one of the muscles I do tell individuals to start to work, if they can, is their upper back. Because if you work your upper back, those are the muscles that attach to the shoulder. So you'll pretty much get, the same potential results by working out your upper back versus your shoulders. If, you're a required wheelchair user. But yeah, you do got to keep your shoulders as healthy as possible. Another thing, what I've been, trying to do is trying to engage my core as much as possible. Like us T-level paras, and maybe some even C-level quads, we sometimes have the ability to ambulate with braces and a walker or crutches or whatever, device that we need. So that pretty much helps, me with my core stability. That helps you with transfers, you name it, your core is probably involved. And a lot of times individual spinal cord injuries have an affected, impaired core functionality. So I try to do something just to, engage those muscles because they're there. And another thing is, if individuals do have access to it, I would say aquatic training, because you can strengthen muscles. Because even though they see us, a lot of us, for being in the chair, some of us do have the ability and have muscle power in our legs and, lower extremities. So, I try to keep them as active as possible to try to prevent atrophy and things of that nature. And, that those are other illnesses that can occur later down the line, like I think muscular, where your bone density is weak and things of that nature. I forgot the exact term, but yeah, so there's a lot of muscles that individuals with disabilities have to train or have to be conscious of versus able-bodied individuals.
Chuck, I'm gonna tweak the question a little bit and add on to it. Outside of the shoulder, sorry, I shouldn't even say any muscle groups, right? What, and maybe you have specific knowledge, right, from Paralympics, and TJ, then I'm going to throw it to you as well from outside of weightlifting or lifting or workouts, right, or cardio. What do you see as rounding out the healthy side of being a wheelchair user and making sure that your lifestyle is healthy along with collaborating on the fitness side?
Yeah, for sure. So I think I would say a couple things. I want to add one thing real quick onto the conversation we're just having. I think it's good. Is just the thing I'd add is balance is really important. We spend most days push. That means you need, and Garrison got this, you want to also add some pulling. So anytime of fitness you're doing, you know that if you're moving your body in one direction, you need to try to move your body in the opposite direction, so to speak, at some point. It doesn't have to be the same day necessarily, but making sure you're engaging in that balance of going both ways, for lack of a better way to put it. I think that's really important when it comes to fitness, especially with a muscle like the shoulder, as everybody said. Shoulders weren't built to be used this way. Like, they just weren't. I mean, you look at baseball pitchers who get hurt all the time because their shoulder wasn't meant to do this. Anyway, setting that aside, I think that what's really important in rounding out, sort of the whole healthiness, I think is just continuing to find ways to be active that are not fitness related, whether it's going for a walk, just get, a roll or a push, or however we want to call it. I think that kind of just everyday movement is really important to not only your physical health, but your mental health as well. I think we often get caught up in physical fitness and making sure, we're healthy. And I think it's critical we find some way to move our body to do that. But the flip side to it that we always have to be taken care of is our mental health as well, because we can work out and physical and all these things, but if we're not quite in the right place to do so mentally, you're always going to kind of be playing catch up or feel like, oh, why am I not satisfied? I'll just work out more. And I think really finding those ways in your life to balance is really critical. And the other thing I always say, and I try to live by this as much as I can, is, knowing that being on a fitness journey of any kind doesn't immediately mean just denying yourself access to anything you like and enjoy. And I don't believe that's sustainable. Going back to what I said earlier, I don't believe that's a sustainable way to live. And so I think you need to find sustainable things in your life. If cooking is a real challenge for you, like cooking is a huge challenge for me, I have to find ways that I'm going to eat healthy, so I can't always cook a home meal. So am I making smart choices when I eat out, when I order, what am I doing to make sure I do that? And, like I said, really building a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. And sometimes that means I'm tired today. I don't want to bother with anything else. I just want to get, chicken tenders or something like that. And that's okay every now and then. It really is. I think it's finding ways to live healthy and again, is sustainable. If you're a person who, if you deny yourself something for weeks on end, and then you suddenly go crazy for 2 weeks straight, that's not a sustainable way for you to try to be healthy, a sustainable way to live. So really my big thing is finding ways to be sustainable in your goals, particularly if you're not, I have my own routines I have to do, but I'm a Paralympic level athlete. My experience is simply not helpful, in my opinion, for a person who just wants to get fit and to be healthier, to play with their kids or their grandkids or their dogs, whoever. So I think, going back to how I began this thing about talking about balance, it's really about living healthy, is about finding a really good balance in your life, in finding ways to be active. Like I said, even in just small ways, like going out and pushing around your neighborhood for 15 minutes, and maybe you say hi to your neighbors, and that's a really great way to just be a little more engaged in what you're doing than just sitting at home. I think finding little ways like that are really critical to achieving that in your life.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. TJ, you want to add on?
Yeah, and like this is honestly, that's fine. Being in the peer program and talking to people it goes hand in hand. I mean, fitness, obviously, like I said, it's going to help you emotionally and mentally too. But this is one of the things you can do, but also you need to take care of your emotional and mental self too. Make sure you're in the right frame of mind. If you would say you're having trouble, you're newly injured, you're having trouble with a disability, or I've been hurt 31 years, and I can still get down about crap, the little things that happen. You're like, what? I had dropped that, I can't pick it up or whatever. And it can just get you a little pissed off. You need to be, it's okay to reach out for help. I still have my old buddy that we talk to. Talking to people that have been there and done that. That's why I love the peer program, is so important, just to vent to somebody that actually understands what it's like once in a while. It's not like or just ask questions about how you do things. So it goes hand in hand. Yeah, you want to be healthy physically for you, but also mentally and emotionally. Having someone to talk to, or knowing that there's an outlet, knowing that the peer program's out there and you have somebody to talk to when you're having those things, will always help too. But I definitely agree with what Chuck said, is, you want to find a healthy lifestyle, but also you're going to have days you need those, maybe a stick figure day or whatever it is, days. Don't be too hard on yourself, because we have enough stuff going on. If you beat yourself up, it's not going to help. So being healthy mentally and emotionally is going to make a big difference when you decide to start a fitness program or continuing your fitness program.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big proponent of the mind-body connection. And I think the amount of reading I do on the mind, and studies show that they're not isolated ever, right? It is, one works off the other and the other works off the other, and they're interlinked. And the more you pay attention to one, the other one's going to benefit. So I'm going to stop asking questions and open it up questions to anyone out there that wants to throw one, either in the Q&A or in the chat. And we'll take 10 minutes of questions and then wrap up. I do have a question here. I will start with Jesse. Jesse, I know we've talked it was a couple of weeks ago, you were like, I just hit a rut, right? And I was stuck and I couldn't get out, and I was angry at myself. And what give me your motivation tactics to get back into it. How did you convince yourself? What did you do? How do you game plan this thing out to get back into the routine you currently are in?
Hands down, it's a combination of things. There's not just one thing that helps me get back to it. The first thing has to be my team. They're like, girl, you're a leader. What are you doing? Get it together. And my team's really good at holding me accountable, because I hold them to a high standard. They also expect that same standard. We can't expect from people and not perform on that level. But even more so, I reconnected with my goals and why I was doing it to begin with. Fitness is about, for me, the longevity of my independence. So I'm like, why do I want to be independent for a long time? Why don't I want to rely on people? Why am I doing this in the first place? So, really reconnecting with your why you even embarked on the journey, and then having SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and within time. Have a time frame on it. And when you have SMART goals, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to dial it in and lock it down. And just, again, support. I cannot emphasize community support enough. So many of us are trying to lose weight. Get yourself in one of the wheelchair support groups and be like, hey, I'm looking for an accountability partner. Anyone down? And there will be somebody in there that's like, yes, let's go. But it's up to you two to say, all right, let's go. We're doing this. We're committing. And just, you owe it to yourself. You're worth so much more than settling for less. You owe it to you to just show up for you. So often we show up for everyone around us. Show up for you, man, because then when you show up for you, you can show up for everyone else around you at a much higher level.
So I'm hearing self-talk a lot from you, and it doesn't surprise me. I mean, that's kind of how you go. But to answer, I'll respond as well, because I think I'm just being here listening. Look, I think how you get back into it, you put it on paper, you put it on your calendars, put it on your phone, you self-talk, you got to self-motivate, you got to talk yourself into it. It's not going to be just one thing. It's going to be a series of items. So set out a weekly plan, then set out your 3-day plan, then set out your 1-day plan. Then you've got to convince yourself to do it. And then once you do it, you go back to what Garrison was alluding to, and you talk and you get there. you step in first, right? You roll into a Kakana class, you go into the gym, whatever it is, you start baby steps and then end the video, build your way out. We've got a handful of questions in nutrition. I'm going to go to each of you, right? And about what you eat. This is a way bigger topic that probably needs to be a whole roundtable, but I don't want to blow 10 minutes on it. But I want to give people some thoughts on what you guys eat. So, and kind of how you approach the nutritional side of things, because they are linked, and I don't want people to think we're ignoring it. Garrison, you want to start?
Okay, so me, I have a nutritionist. That's one of the requirements of being a Team USA athlete. We have to meet with the nutritionist, and everyone has different goals. So some individuals' goals are to lose weight. My goal is to gain weight. So I try to eat in a calorie surplus. One thing I'll tell all individuals with spinal cord injuries to do, and this not being an athlete or anything, but to stay away from sugars. The more you can limit sugars, the better your lifestyle will be, for a variety of reasons. I mean, like, sugars can cause UTIs. There's been studies that show that. There's been so many different studies on sugars. So with that said, if you're, looking to just start to in the beginning phase of getting fit, or in the beginning phase of wanting to get fit, one of the things I would say for your diet is to, be mindful of how much your sugar intake is each day. But for me, typically I try to eat, about 1.5 times the amount of protein versus my weight. Because currently I'm around 130, I'm trying to get to about 138 pounds. So that's what I do. And I stay in a surplus because I have high intensity training. So that's a little bit of what I eat. So I eat protein a lot.
Jesse, I'm just going to go right up the line.
I think it's crazy, Garrison. Like, you're a lean 130. Dang, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm 130, and I'm like, okay. I do macro tracking. That's what I offer. I put it in the chat. I offer one-on-one accountability on macros. So that's literally protein, carbs, and fats we eat. I just eat the specific amount to maintain where I'm at. If you're trying to lose weight, you'll be in a calorie deficient. If you're trying to gain, like Garrison said, you'd be in a calorie surplus. So really just making sure you're getting proper protein, carbs, and fats, and then gut health. I can't stress gut health enough. It's your second brain. It affects your mood, the way you poop. Everything that we need is in your gut, so getting your gut health on point really, really is key as well.
TJ?
So, I mean, honestly, like you said, gut health, I'm really trying to eat more, salad and roughage. And mainly I started because of bowel program and doing that and getting my gut health. It's made a difference. And then protein, guys, especially quads, guys, if we can limit the carbs as much, or at least get the healthy carbs from fruit and stuff like that, because the protein, though, I can't state enough for skin. Skin is so important. And I don't know if you've ever dealt with a skin problem or you have a skin problem, but they're going to tell you protein and keep pounding protein, whether it be drinking it or eating it. So protein is always going to be helpful, because even when I'm trying to diet, I'm trying to lose weight, I'm trying to keep my protein up when I do that, to make sure that I don't have any skin issues with losing weight, because that can happen as well. So I'm preaching from a skin standpoint, protein, but also just veggies. It does make a difference. It's, you might not enjoy it, but there are some things out there that do taste pretty good. If you can learn to do it, it's going to make a difference, especially like Jesse said, in your bowel program and your skin and everything, so that's me.
Chuck?
Yeah, I can just round it out with a couple of quick tips. I think Garrison's right on point. Avoiding things that have no nutritional value. High fructose corn syrup is probably number one on that list. Avoiding those at all costs are going to make a difference automatically. Second thing is really, when you eat, trying to eat colorfully. Your plate should be colorful. That's the vegetable thing that TJ's getting at. And the last thing I'll add is that for me, and I think this is a good way to think about it, is I don't train to eat, I eat to train. And so that means that basically it doesn't mean that you work out really hard and then can eat whatever you want. You have to think about the opposite direction. You eat really well to fuel your body, whether that's just going through an 8-hour workday or going through, a 4-hour workday and then a workout, whatever it is, but thinking of it more as eat to live, not live to eat, so to speak, at least when it comes to trying to achieve a really healthy and sustainable plan.
One more thing, guys, water. I mean, for UTIs, for everything also too, but water. I mean, I've completely cut out even the diet sodas or anything. It's water or a little bit of coffee in the morning and then water. Water is going to make a big difference.
I'm going to ask one more question. I think it's a good one. It's not mine. It's someone's in here and they are way smarter than I am. So, and let's, Jesse, just go right to you. And this is a good one for everybody because it's people are really unsure about this. Is it okay to work out when you're sore?
You have to listen to your own body. If you are struggling to transfer and get through your day, then don't work out. You could always stretch and do functional mobility. You don't have to do an actual workout to get movement. Do light things that help you recover. But you have to allow your body to recover to be able to continue to progress.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because what you want to do is listen to your body, and that doesn't help you. I get that question is not perfectly answered, but there is no perfect answer. It is, if you're sore muscles could just be because you push yourself, and you can go back and work out the next day, right? But it could also mean maybe I should do yoga today, or maybe I should do some mindfulness, right? Maybe I should do some meditation. And you really won't know until you really kind of go through trial and error and figure out what your body can handle. And I think it is very different when you're talking about, hey, if I work out in the morning and I was sore and now I'm really sore, how are my transfers going to be later in the day? Or so there's a lot of factors to kind of think about, but pay attention to what you did previously. And if it didn't work that time, okay, take a mental note. Maybe I should change it a little bit. Maybe I should do, something else. Maybe I was fine, right? And you'll know. My one suggestion would be don't go all out after this webinar and lift or work out 28 days in a row. That is not going to do it. You need rest. Like Garrison said, you need downtime. Downtime doesn't mean you have to not do anything. You could meditate, right? You could do yoga. You can do other things, stretching. That is kind of on the down curve of, the high intense stuff, but don't go and and burn yourself out. Chuck was saying what's sustainable, and what's sustainable is your journey. Your journey is something you want to go for years and not 1 month. There's a reason why people tell the New Year's resolutions they fall off in February is because they're not sustainable, right? If you're thinking about this in a 5-10 year plan, well, 30 minutes to start your day or 5 minutes to start your fitness journey, it's okay. It's fine. And so that would be my wrap on it. I want to thank everybody. This was amazing. I want to thank Garrison, Chuck, Jesse, and TJ. You guys were fantastic. Kakana has partnered with the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. We are providing memberships at this point through June 30th. And the link is in the chat. You can also go to the Reeve website and find the landing page. If you have questions, you can also email Kakana, just reference the webinar today. And we look forward to seeing all of you out in our classes. And if you're not in our class, find a community that fits you, right? For me, the reason we built Kakana was the adaptive fitness and community combination. If our community isn't it, find one that is. If you haven't found it yet, keep trying. I think it was TJ that said, you got to keep looking for things and trying things, right? His peer group can give you a different avenue, a different look. And the idea is to continue to find your fit. And I think that's what creates a sustainable long-term fitness journey. I want to thank everybody again. Thank you to the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. And we will see everyone out there in exercise world.